Welcome, 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 welcome.
Is it going?
I don't know. You tell me.
Welcome.
I was about to say,
Yeah,
welcome.
there's going. There's going.
welcome to the Basics Podcast. Let's fucking get it, boys. We about to watch
What
the fucking
up?
debate. We about to watch.
Today, sorry. Today we got a presidential watch party, and you know what it is. We got to get right into it. We only got a little bit of time left, so. uh. Let's go. Basics Podcast.
You make the best show.
You got all them
Them
hoes.
hoes.
Yeah, I just checked it on my phone, and whoever's talking shows in the right hand corner, so we're good.
Beautiful.
Play around one more time.
Oh shit! I should probably have a notepad and shit, huh? Hold on, man. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right.
We about we in this bitch. We in this hoe. We in this thing. We're gonna be listening to the debate tonight, baby.
We are already demonetized.
Dang it! Gosh dang it! Sorry. Can we restart?
No, we get. I bet we get demonetized every time we play Tate's.
Fair enough.
Yeah. We don't even have enough people to be monetized. We need 1,000 subscribers, and we don't have anywhere close to that.
Wait, are you saying we cannot be demonetized?
Because we've never been monetized.
Let's go!
We can say what the fuck we want. We ain't got nothing to lose.
Fucking cheers that bud. Let's get her going. Let's go. Is that a banquet?
So banquet. Rocky Mountain.
Hey, that's one of the best beers, bro. That's one of the best beers.
So,
and you know what pairs? Sorry, you know what a banquet pairs really well with?
Hot dogs and baseball games.
Very close. A double Western cheeseburger from Carl's Jr.
Oh, bro, I was drinking just banquet just a little while ago. I had an In-N-Out.
That would be good too, but
Hey,
there's something about the barbecue and the onion rings with the banquet, bro. There's something about it, bro. Let me tell you, and it can't be a cold banquet. It's got to be a room temperature banquet.
Oh man,
with double Western. Anyway,
okay.
Sorry. Don't listen to my advice. Don't listen to that. But that is my experience in life and playing Pokemon on a Nintendo DS. Okay.
So we got real quick. We got countdown to debate. It says 10 minutes. I don't know if this is live. That's not live. Hold on. Let me go to live.
I think we're getting about really close.
Let me refresh this. It froze. The fuck, CNN?
It's
so
okay.
CNN has a 2-minute delay. 2 minutes 2 minutes 30 seconds. They have a 2-minute delay on the debate. So in case someone has a medical emergency, they said.
No, they did not say that.
No, for real. 100%. I'm not even kidding. It's not a joke.
They said in case someone is fucking too old to live anymore.
Dude. So I was drinking banquets during my game this weekend and I got tossed out of the baseball game.
No fucking way, bro.
At Lemby again.
What? Why? Wait, how? Who saw you?
So I got hit by a pitch back-to-back games in the elbow and I was pissed. And I ran to first base. Bro, I ran to first base to take my base because it was a close game. It was the 8th inning, tie game. We need runners on. I need to score. I'm about to steal a base. The umpire says, no, you leaned into it. Stay here. He wanted me to stay and hit at home plate. And I'm like, no, I'm taking my base. I just got hit in the elbow, bro. I got hit in the elbow. And so I refused to leave first base. And he's like, come back here. I'm like, no. I'm like, no, you come over here. I'm staying here. I'm staying here. And then I'm like,
you pressed him.
Bro, I was like, you're wearing gear all game. You take off the gear and let me throw a pitch at you. I was, bro, and then it got heated, and then we started like, my teammates came out, and I started like I tried to pick up the base and throw it. do you remember years ago when I picked up the base and threw it at Lemby?
Wait, bro did a repeat?
Do you remember that?
You ran it back one time?
I tried to do that, but what?
I don't recall. I don't recall.
Okay, well, I'll have to break the video out. There's video of it. But we'll have to do a podcast on that. But I tried to do it, but it got heated. And then I got tossed. And then a guy was all pissed off, and he hit a home run after me. It was sick. But then we ended up losing the game. They walked off on us.
Wow, fuck. Well,
we got 20 seconds. Just heads up. We got 20 seconds.
Okay, 20 seconds.
I'm gonna share screen.
Okay, all I gotta say in these 20 seconds is I am nonpartisan. I fucking hate both of these fuckers. Okay, that's my preface. That's it. I hate both of them.
Okay.
All right.
I'm Mr. Producer.
Oh,
it's
man,
going.
This is great.
Going.
We're live from Georgia, a key battleground.
You see it?
I do.
In just moments, the current U.S. president will debate the former U.S. president as their party's presumptive nominees, a first in American history.
We want to welcome our viewers in the United States and around the world to our studios in Atlanta.
Can you see it?
This is the CNN presidential debate.
Can you see it?
This debate is being produced by
CNN
and is coming to you.
Is there echo or anything?
CNN International, CNN.com, CNN Max, and CNN.
I just put in my earphones. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Is it worse or? Yeah, I can hear you. Is it worse or better in my headphones?
Your mic is not as good.
His case to the American people with just over 4 months until election day.
All right, let me take these out.
Yeah, your mic was better without him.
Politics and co-anchor of State of the Union.
I'm Jake Tapper, anchor of CNN's The Lead and co-anchor of State of the Union. CNN and I will co-moderate this evening. Our job is to facilitate a debate between the two candidates tonight. Before we introduce them, we want to share the rules.
Are you there? Are you available?
Former President
I am, but I can't fucking hear anything now because I fucked it. Hold on.
Coin toss determined their position.
You can't hear the debate.
And 1 minute each for responses and rebuttal.
Can you hear me?
An additional minute for follow-up, clarification, or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on and his opponent's microphone will be turned off.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear the debate?
Yeah, if I close my windows, let me fucking close all this shit.
There is no studio audience tonight.
No audience.
Props or contact with
yeah, you didn't know that? No audience?
No,
and they can't interrupt each other. And they
look at the guy on the left.
The mic.
Hold on. Look at the guy on the left. You see him? You see the guy on the left?
Now please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Boo!
Joe Biden!
Boo!
That's Mr.
He
Biden.
just pointed at him. He gave him a finger gun. No, he didn't.
Oh!
Bro, look how sleepy his eyes look. Bro,
no,
smile.
Wait, is this guy asleep? Or is he awake? Oh!
The doll looks like he's walking into the cage, bro. Look at that.
Yes. Oh wow.
Gentlemen,
oh wow.
Let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern.
You're just getting right into it.
President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were?
Look at his face! Look at his face!
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president.
Oh, he sounds so old.
We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we
Dude, he's reading from a script, bro. He's memorized.
That's exactly what we began.
Yeah, his voice sounds terrible, man.
New jobs. We brought out the position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. But
they didn't even give him any water.
Working class people are still in trouble. I come from
this boy,
the basics. Come on, people. The basics.
He
needs a drink.
Problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure we deal with those problems. And we're going to make sure that
no.
Price of housing.
Okay.
We're going to make sure we build.
Can you turn up the volume on your end?
Make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate
greed, is the
reason why we're in this problem right now.
A little bit, tiny bit.
We're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration,
it's better.
He didn't do much at all.
Oh yeah, way better.
Things were in chaos. Literally
how about
chaos.
That?
And so
yeah. I can hear you now.
I said those
is my mic echoing?
Sure a situation where
no, everything's perfect.
We brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot,
good?
as opposed to $400.
I can.
No,
honestly, I can hear it too good. Turn it back down. I don't want to hear this. I'm just kidding. No. I'm just kidding. Keep it.
Situation, right. And we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans. So we're working to bring down the price around the kitchen table, and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you, President Trump.
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, we did a great job. We get a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. Other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce-back from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world, he's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, the fact of the matter is that we find ourselves in a situation where...
Why is he hating on America?
His economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert Hoover that lost more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever you want with the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want
to Trump's face right there, bro.
Goods coming into the U.S.
I missed it.
How will you ensure that doesn't?
Dude, he went like this.
Even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others. In all fairness to China.
China, take a drink. Take a drink.
A lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last 8 years,
that was a bad day.
Both of your administrations,
it was a terrible day.
Debt soared to record highs. And according to a new
Look at his
nonpartisan analysis,
Look at
President
Biden's
Trump, your
face.
administration approved
I can't
$8.4
see
trillion
you're in the way.
debt. Well, so far, President Biden, you've approved 4.
No, I moved it on my screen.
So, former President Trump,
Look at
many
his
of the
face.
tax cuts that you signed into law are
He's
set
scared.
to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID. And even after COVID, it was so strong that we were able to get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before, and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things.
Fuck, dude, Trump is winning.
We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration, and we were right in the middle of it, something which a lot of people don't like to talk about. But he had far more people dying in his administration. He did the mandate, which is
Holy shit!
mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation between weaponization of his election.
Dude, this guy has just talked about every single issue in the last 2 minutes.
We've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country. And I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country. And
he just went from COVID to the border, bro. What the hell is going on?
Later in this block, President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two, that $2 trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000.
I was making more money under Trump with those taxes, even though I was making less per hour.
Where they, in fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they'd raise $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system.
We shouldn't fund the government, though.
To make every single solitary person.
I don't want to give them any money. They just squander it.
I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with
let's go.
Dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
He's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare.
Bro, it's tough.
Because all of these people are coming in.
We finally beat Medicare.
Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security.
It's over now. That was it. That was it. It's game over, Jordan.
Trump
just won.
We still have another hour, but we got 50 minutes left, bro.
So he was
give up right now. Throw in the towel.
And it's a
He
shame.
might not be able to stand up that long.
Country
wave the white flag. Wave it now, please. We're done. Let's end the debate. End it now.
They cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they
why did Joe Biden agree to a debate?
Has done
why would he do that?
Criminal.
because he didn't have one last
President
time.
Trump. Dana?
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban.
Display was devastating to Biden.
You take credit for the decision to
devastating
Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion.
That may be the single most craziest thing that I've ever seen right there.
The federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president,
who is this?
Block abortion medication.
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. Everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was, an end result. It was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing.
Two of Donald.
Texas is
He's saying
different.
two Donalds
Florida
right
is
now.
different.
Maybe
but they're all making their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it. That's the vote of the people.
Good
Like Ronald Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't follow.
Damn, he just came out and said it. Let's go. I'm voting for Trump.
He just dropped a hard R right there.
You got to get elected. The problem they have is radical because they will
one of them
the child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth,
yeah, that's one of them.
Governor of Virginia.
Sorry, my bad, guys.
He said, "We'll put the baby aside." And
now we're demonetized.
The baby, meaning we'll kill the baby. What happened is we brought it back to the states, and the country is now coming together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
Thank you. President Biden?
It's been a terrible thing, what you've done. The fact is that the vast majority of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided. Supported Roe. And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women to be
dude. What the fuck?
In-laws by their spouses, brothers and sisters.
He's talking about incest.
It's just ridiculous.
Bro, he's talking about Hunter, bro.
About it. And they try to arrest him when they cross state lines.
And his niece, dude.
There have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. Consider the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including if they knew about this issue, which, frankly, they didn't.
You just said people are coming across the border and raping people, but he's not going to let you have an abortion.
It brought back. He wasn't able to get it. Everybody wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back.
That's crazy what he just said. That contradicts itself completely.
People,
I know, but he just said that it's an exception for rape. He believes in that.
Staying on the topic
personally, but then he said it's up to the states. It's the states' right.
I'll let you do that.
Yeah, and all the states in the South say
have
nothing
no
on anything.
restrictions on how far into a pregnancy
Not in
a
California.
woman can obtain an abortion?
Not in California.
Support
We have a
any
border.
legal limits on how
do.
late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can take the life.
All right, he kind of tied it back in, but fuck, he's fucked.
After birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again,
Look at
the
his
former
face, bro.
governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the
baby down,
and kill the baby.
Look at Joe's face.
That to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
They have his mic muted.
That is simply not true. The Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance. Only if a woman's life is in danger, she's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period, period.
That's good.
Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51 years, that was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board at 6 weeks or 7 or 8 or 10 weeks, something very, very conservative. Is he going to sign that bill? I'll veto it. He'll sign it.
Thank you.
Let's turn now to the issue of immigration and border security.
Shit, he said something that made sense for once.
Migrants have illegally crossed the southern border on your watch. Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and security concerns. Given that, why should voters trust you to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard to get a bipartisan agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. Significantly, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed me.
I don't know. I can't understand him.
In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened?
Look at Trump's
I've
face.
changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where 40% coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total.
It's got the wavy flag. Biden's got the square rectangular flag.
And more asylum officers.
Yeah.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he
Trump's
said.
wearing red, white, and blue.
I don't think he knows what he said either. Look,
Biden's wearing Israeli.
we had the safest border in the history of our country.
Trump just fucking dissed him hard as fuck. Did you hear that?
Oh, I missed
We
it.
decided to open up our
Holy
border, open up
fuck.
our country to
Sorry, I got to rewind.
people that are
Relative to what we can do.
My bad.
More border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. All he had to do was leave it. He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, speak to him. But look, we have the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in caravans.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, and his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, killed three American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people. The people we killed are al-Baghdadi and Soleimani. The 2 greatest terrorists, biggest terrorists.
Oh, it turned into Iran. Let's go.
On everything, not
I don't
just
think
border, on everything. He's the
Responding
one
to the
that
right
killed
thing
people with a bad
Biden was
water,
saying.
including
The terrorist part.
people dying, and also killing
Yeah,
our
Biden was
citizens
talking
when they
about
come in. We
Terrorists,
have-
and he said he killed the terrorists instead of letting them in.
They're killing our people in New York, in California.
I know
and
Biden was
every
talking about
state
terrorists
in the
that
union,
killed
because
soldiers.
we don't have
though.
borders anymore. Every state is now a border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime. They're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen before. And you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and he just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast because they're going to destroy our country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military at all, and he doesn't care about our veterans. Nobody been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved, choice that I got through Congress, all of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did, and I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. But he has killed so many people at our border by allowing all of these people to come in. And it's a very sad day in America.
President Biden, you have the mic.
Every single thing he said is a lie. Every single one. For example, he's a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers. My son was not a loser, was not a sucker. You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Oh,
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines. He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We have 19 people that said it was never said by me. It was made up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the 16 economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son Hunter.
Let's go.
Russia disinformation.
Drink.
He made up the
He do be spitting.
He should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side of the said you said it. Period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to begin with Russia's
moving
war
on.
against Ukraine, which is now in its third year.
From
Former President
Or his
Trump,
banquet to
Russian
Crown
President
Royal
Vladimir Putin
vanilla.
says he'll only
Oh,
end
hell yeah, bro.
the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed, and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them. And that's based on every single
Look at his laugh.
As far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real
He's
president,
pissed. His lip is shaking.
that was respected by Putin,
He's frozen.
he would have never invaded
Oh my God.
Ukraine.
Look at his face.
A lot of people are dead right now, much more than people know. You know, they talk about numbers. You can double
Dude,
those
he's getting
numbers,
real
maybe
evil.
triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned, and so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take my...
Biden forgot his mic was muted.
Talk to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration. This place, the whole world is blowing up under him.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops, caused brain damage for a number of these troops, and he did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was president. They attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. Listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute. I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the territory in Ukraine?
Acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war And we shouldn't be spending. It should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky as president-elect before I take office on January 20th. I'll have that war settled. People so needlessly, so stupidly.
Look at Biden.
I will get it settled,
Oh my
and I'll
gosh,
get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal.
He always says that.
Thousands and thousands of people.
The fact is.
And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, and by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict.
It didn't say a genocide, but okay.
So far, Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional
military genocide
will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one, everyone from the United Nations Security Council straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward, which has 3 stages to it. The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one, they're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're finding that the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing.
Okay, then deny all the other shit that works in populated areas. You fucking
I'm the guy that organized
stupid
bitch against Iran when they
fuck Joe Biden.
Kind of ballistic missile attack on Israel.
Fuck that shit. Bullshit.
One Israeli was accidentally killed.
That is bullshit.
And it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so they're 2 different things. Hamas
clearly
is allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for using certain weapons among population centers.
Fuck you. He does not believe that.
For 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel and Hamas, Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one.
You just changed topics like crazy
let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
What?
President Biden, you have a minute.
What?
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have, our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO. We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world to support Ukraine,
What the?
including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this was.
He said that on live television. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about.
Whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia? At a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time. And they said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021.
Damn, that was good.
You rallied your supporters that day. Some of them stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes. As president, you swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th. On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through, very few. On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January 6th, we had the lowest taxes ever. We had the lowest regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected.
Oh, so he's not going to talk about it.
And we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership is horrible, including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be talking about, where he goes after his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it, too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her. And she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks. Number one, I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. But he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said, no.
Like 55?
He was responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities, you go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of the
Yeah.
took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that, they saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so peacefully patriotic. One other thing, the Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now, out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right.
A Quinn
We
shot
were
glass,
right.
by the way.
And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to
Can you
give
see
you
my
a minute.
dog going fucking absolutely insane?
He's a convicted felon.
I can't see you. I just see the
And the
screen.
fact of the matter is,
Okay, for sure.
what he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were
What?
convicted,
Somebody fall
was
over
on
already.
desk,
Yeah,
falling
dude,
over
I need a
desk.
rocket piss. Someone die.
Those people are patriots. Come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had, the debates we had first time around, I said, will you...
He said he masturbate?
He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing, will you denounce these guys? Will you denounce the people we're talking about now? Will you denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably.
Hey, Drake.
Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion.
Oh, what the hell? Let's go. Damn.
This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky.
Woo!
I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that
Drink again. Drink again.
We did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden.
Said criminal.
I'm coming right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong.
He never said that.
No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that. Number three.
What'd he say?
Crimes that you are still charged with. And think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for?
Trump said his retribution would be success.
Doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star on the night when your wife was pregnant. What are you thinking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
Give you a minute, sir.
I didn't have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge, Democrat. The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better,
that drool on Biden's lip.
What these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy.
Look at his face.
Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of issues he has to face.
Is he threatening him?
What the juries will do. But
Is that a threat?
Maybe.
So the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? You ever heard any president say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again.
Oh, he mentioned his son. Drink.
Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. They spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people? The ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones," he said, "I think they're fine people on both sides." What American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same?
Sorry, can you hear that? That's my bad.
Swastikas.
Can't hear it.
We're fine people.
You're good.
This is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. Good things Hitler's done. That's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on that. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question, the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place. Every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day, it came out where it was fully debunked.
What's he looking at?
It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
Trump's to his right.
President Biden.
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said.
Isn't Trump to his right?
The idea
I have no fucking idea, bro.
The only reason I ran.
Trump is to his right. Who's he looking at all the time?
Elected. If he
No, Trump's to his left.
People coming out of that.
Oh, he's to his right. He showed him side by side.
Carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve
to be president. I don't know. I'm high.
At all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes.
Yeah, I just want to see him fist fight, bro.
We saw the people.
Let's go. Can we have a boxing match for president?
His own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44.
I'll vote for whoever wins in a fist fight.
It's probably gonna be Trump, bro.
Why? They know.
I think Trump's taller and got weight on him.
Why are they not endorsing him?
Well, no, I think they're both 6'1".
Right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
Biden's tall as shit, bro. All right, Mr. Producer break. I'm gonna take that's one of the two breaks, bro.
We still got another one?
No, we're 1/3 of the way through. We still got 2/3.
Are you serious? Oh my god, bro! Someone's gonna die on stage, bro.
Bro, it's 2 hours long, bro.
I thought it was an hour, Mr. Producer.
Mr. Best Show.
All right, be right back.
Yeah. Gang. I'm eating a veggie burger. How'd it go? It's not great. But it's got pickled onions on it. And that's pretty good. One moment. Twin shot glass.
Justin, you there?
Oh yeah, I can't hear you unless you're like right next to the mic.
Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Not unless you're like right next to the mic though.
Well, what about now? Are they coming back? Not yet. Bro, okay, what are your thoughts? Oh, they're back. They're back. Sorry. We're back.
My thoughts is Biden's getting cooked.
And you'd certainly face again in a second term.
Bro, he's making the weirdest
President
faces.
Biden, while black unemployment
He's also fucking too old.
under your presidency, black families.
Bro, if
still
this
earn
goes
far
for
less
2 more
than
commercial
white
breaks, I
families.
cannot keep
Black
drinking.
mothers
Let's be
are
honest.
still 3 times more die for pregnancy-related causes,
Right.
and black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there's more small black businesses that have been started than any time in history.
He took a hit.
The wages of black unemployment.
During the break, he took a weed hit.
Long time. Number 3, we're trying to provide housing for black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses. And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the choice that black families have to make relative to child care is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for child care costs. We got to make sure, because when you provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more.
Why is he saying black like that with the K on emphasis on the K?
Deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress?
African American.
I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home.
What about me, you
so
fucker?
Get started.
The fuck? Fuck you.
Mom.
What about half Filipinos?
Individuals provided to take out student loans.
Just because they're black, they get money? What about me?
Engaged in nursing.
What about half French? I'm half French.
Volunteerism.
Bro,
Paid their
what the
bills for
fuck?
10 years.
Fuck you.
Their student debt.
That's segregation.
Given after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to
That's institutional racism. If you're going to pay for one race and not the other.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled,
credit card debt,
and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially.
I work with people full time.
Perfect. It was,
and they're adding to their credit card debt just to pay rent and food.
Green New Scam and all of the other.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, dude.
Out the window.
They don't do anything outside of that. Work and pay their bills.
Yet they're going into debt.
Yes.
Kill on the black people.
Fucking crazy. California, dude.
Millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18. It could be 19.
Rent,
even
food, car payment.
People. They're taking black jobs and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you, President Biden.
Ice in the nation.
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment. He decimated the economy, absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs. We provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals who are in all communities, including minority communities.
The Tates are live watching the debate too right now.
We have the ACA has increased. I made sure that there are $8,000 per person in a family to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again, and they're going to try again if they win. We find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity and making sure people have a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities across the country are confronted.
Weekend after next is supposed to be 116.
Intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels.
I love it.
President Trump, you've vowed to end climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible.
Dude, his eyes are bugged out,
For
dude.
10 years, he called them super
Look at
predators.
Biden, bro. His eyes are bugged out.
We can't forget that. Super predators was his name. And he called it to him for 10, and they've taken great offense at it, and now they see it happening. But when they
the culture loves Trump, dude. He's been in their music videos for decades.
Black colleges and universities where I funded them and got them all
Trump was off Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, bro.
Opportunity zones with Tim, as you know. Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job.
Yeah, and Biden sponsored a crime bill.
South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great
Super
idea.
predator.
One of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country, opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for black people. He's also done a horrible job for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs. And it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever.
We had it.
We
had H2O.
All forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
I don't know where the hell he's been.
Woo! He's cooking. Let him cook.
I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history. We find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have those. They don't have the kind of contributors that they have to.
Well, we have an Asian college.
And the like. Any black student is capable.
Asian college? It's called San Francisco State University.
Be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation
UC Davis.
where the idea that he's not claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water. He hadn't done a damn thing with the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined.
Bro, all the other countries are fucking up the environment.
5 degrees Celsius.
They don't do shit.
There's no way
China,
back.
India,
The only
they don't give a fuck.
humanity is climate change.
Yep.
And he didn't do
The
it.
Philippines are the number one polluter of the Pacific Ocean.
The Paris Accord.
Oh, really? You think more than China?
Oh, yeah.
And China nothing, and Russia
Really?
nothing, India nothing. It was a ripoff of the
Damn,
United
okay.
States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money.
Because they don't have landfills. Where they put their landfills, bro? They're all islands. They just put them in, they throw their trash in the ocean.
It was a disaster.
China at least has a mainland to
he said just
make
now. I'll give you an
landfills.
example. I heard him say before insulin.
That's a
I'm
good
the
point.
one
I didn't think about that.
Seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in.
You look at Biden's face, dude.
Look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare,
I got water.
and Medicaid.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to, the United States can't get its pollution under control? One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half.
God damn it, what are you saying?
We've made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people who learn how to deal with them, just like the Peace Corps. And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about
I just came out and talk. Whoa, fuck.
climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs,
I just gave my dog a big thing of peanut butter.
reduce the price. To
I just whipped it
$35,
out.
which I was calling for one. I make sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
So every
I
day,
want something,
millions of
you know?
Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security, seniors will see their benefits.
Did I ever tell you how
in
this
just
desk I
over
have is a
10
Marines
years.
officer's
Will
desk?
you name tonight one specific
Yeah,
step
dude.
you're willing to
Who'd you
take
get it from?
Social Security
I got it from a
yes,
Marines
make it
officer.
very well
I can't
for
say
them to
on
pay their
air.
share. Right now,
Hell yeah.
everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck. From
What?
the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I've been proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help?
Jesus Christ, stop telling me there's so much time left.
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent. But the biggest thing I'll do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare, both times. And that's what. And if you look at the program put forward by the House Republican caucus that I believe supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where we talk about education for black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants by another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year is going to be able to get $15,000 toward their tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. So
hey, hold on. I got to take a work call, bro.
We mentioned the laptop.
All right, I'll
we
be
mentioned
here.
Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden.
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it, number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where
I got bad news, man.
Millions
What's that?
Illegal aliens are coming.
Can you hear me?
And taking away our jobs.
You gotta leave.
Why we have the fastest growing economy in the world.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We're doing better than any other.
I gotta go into work, man. There's a door that's not opening, so I gotta go in and reprogram the door, and I'm on call, so I gotta go.
If Trump is reelected, we're elected.
Damn! What the fuck?
And inflation.
I could try to stay on, but I'm gonna lose connection.
159 presidential scholars voted.
Damn, bro.
Worst president in the history of the United States of America.
Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford.
I'm so sorry, bro.
President Biden have tried to address this issue, but
all right, I'll be on this watch party just quiet by myself.
A year per child for many families.
Child
care for two children more than their rent. In your second
can we let's see, hold on. Let me put because I was just about to cook a meal. I was about to do so much shit. Now I gotta go. So hold on. Don't end it just yet.
I'm not ending it. I'm letting it ride.
The other thing is, he doesn't fire people.
What'd you say?
What door is it?
I've seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey.
Fucking Glacier Lodge.
The FBI.
Fucking something.
Not easy to fire.
Hold on.
Price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires.
Oh, fucking A.
Every military man that was involved with the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, he didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed?
Should I take the call from the tavern when I get to Quinn's?
Waste a lot of time on
the tavern. What's the call from the tavern?
He's the worst
should I join the Zoom back when I get to Quinn's and just like take it from the bar in the tavern?
Yeah.
He's destroyed our country.
All right, then that's what I'm gonna do, Barrett. Just give me like 15 minutes. Let me go address this issue at work, and then I'm gonna join you back from the tavern.
Yeah, just hit that link.
Like this much.
Okay, sorry, bro, but I do got to do this though, and then I'll be right back on. I'll join you from the tavern.
All right.
Wants to pick up those people.
All right, bro. I'll see you in
in
15, 20. All right, bye.
Can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance.
Or I guess I don't even know how to end it, but I'm gonna keep you on until I start my truck, and then I'm gonna fucking drive out.
All right.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden.
We're the most admired country in the world.
Yo, toss this shit off. I guess I'm gonna bring my dog.
Capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the
Fucking
world.
hate fucking being on call. God damn it.
No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that
Gotta take a drink. Justin's
Get
leaving
in
the
there, you
podcast.
bastard.
Look it up. Go
Hey,
online.
get the fuck in the car.
An exact number. Presidential historians.
There you go.
Voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to
If you're gone, I'm gonna lay on the bed with Angus, bro.
He did virtually nothing to child care. We should significantly increase the child care tax credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work. And we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you, and they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about, he's increased the tariff, he will increase the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000.
All right, bro.
But this tariff is
I'm curious to see.
Everything coming in the country, you know what the economist
I'm curious to see how much distance I get. Can you hear me?
$2,500 a year.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Because they're going to have to pay the difference.
No.
In food.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Number two, he's in a situation
Okay,
where
I'm at my driveway right now.
not raised. He's somehow.
Okay, I'll be laying on the bed with
I
Angus.
still see you.
Devastated by you. Now you want to.
All right, bro. Yeah,
$5 million
I got 4
over
or 5 cars. I'm gonna get behind them and go unlock this door for these idiots, and then we're good.
Number one. Number two, you
I'll
have
join you from the tavern.
made any contact, any progress with
From the
China.
tabernacle.
All right.
The lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden.
Oh, I got new layouts. I can do different layouts. Hold on. Oh, wait, what's this?
Priority in your first term, the opioid crisis, and for both of you, the number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst situation with China. China's going to own us if you keep allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot. And we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't talk about gotaways, but the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically. No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have to do. We need those machines.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about Americans in the throes of addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage. A Wall Street Journal reporter, I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly. As soon as I take office, before I take office, I said by literally, as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago. But Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had two cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you.
President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest
job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. The whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and then bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call them, to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world at getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us, all of our allies. and our those who he calls up to, from Kim Jong-un, we sent love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with this.
Thank you. Former President Trump.
To follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them, I'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds.
You never said it was 6'4".
Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what anyway, just take a look at what he says he is and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I had, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
But
Let's not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn
Let's not act like children.
You
to
are
a
a child.
specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges
Have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any
form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III, let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all, and required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we're a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. were needed to protect the world because of our own safety as a state. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this with? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President
president.
Trump, the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Well, let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
is now time for the candidates to deliver their closing statements as predetermined by a coin toss. We're going to begin with you, President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair?
No.
The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes. They will not, and if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit, number one. He's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got to
get off drugs. Let food be our wealth.
$35 for insulin instead of $400.
Let food be our health.
More than $2,000 for every.
It helps be our wealth.
No matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credit people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like, even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get, when you're terminally ill, now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former
Make
President
it great
Trump,
again.
President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
Stop the share. That's all me now. I don't know, bro. I don't know what to say. I think both candidates could have done better. Trump looked alive. When he spoke, he was all there. He spoke with conviction. Biden was lost. Man, his eyes were like bugging out of his head the entire time. That was wild. He was like this. Look, the government should be taxing you less. The government should be out of your lives. The government should be protecting our borders. The government should get out of international wars. The government should be spending our money on America, repairing our infrastructure, supporting our communities. The government, I don't know, bro. The basics out.